this new narrative about how the gap has closed between Korea and the rest of the world. And on the one hand, I get that narrative, but on the other hand, you're wrong.
Over tripled over the course of the last year between the events. Yeah.
A moment of silence for Daya's social life.
All right, bet. Well, I'm going to start training then. You'll see me on the big stage in 2026.
I love to see it. I love to see it.
Hello, esports fans, and welcome back to another edition of The Loading Screen, powered by XMARK Media. My name is Diatonic, and I am joined here by the legendary duo of Soren and Genster. Guys, how are we feeling today?
Feeling real good. Obviously, we are officially through the month of November, where a lot of esports events were happening. So there's, we talked a lot about the individual events. I think we're going to talk about DreamHack Stockholm, which closed it out a little bit later. But now, as we get to December, we're going to talk a little bit more about like actual news in esports, as most of the events have winded down for the year. So a lot of talk about what next year is going to be looking like. So I'm excited.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. As for how I'm doing, obviously, like I've said on previous episodes, words are hard. I went to DreamHack Stockholm. It was a very fun time for the most part. The journey home was miserable, and if we got time, I will tell y'all about that later. But we'll keep it to the positive news for now, at very least. Before we get to the fun stuff, though, we do have a couple of smaller headlines that we wanted to cover first. Normally we do this at the end, but we figured we'd get some of these out of the way right off the bat because, we don't know a whole lot about these things, so we don't want to go too in depth. But let's start with a little game that I really like called Age of Empires. I'm not super familiar with the competitive scene, but Red Bull has recently opened ticket sales for Red Bull Wololo 2026, the 8th edition of its Age of Empires esports series, themed the Londinium edition. London landmarks including Leicester Square, Tower Bridge, and Hyde Park were transformed for the launch, with performers dressed as iconic game characters. The tournament features both Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition and Age of Empires 4, with group stages taking place from April 1st to 3rd at the Red Bull Gaming Sphere, playoffs from the 4th to the 5th at Odeon Lux Cinema, and the grand final on April 6th at Royal Albert Hall, complete with a live 40-piece orchestra. AoE 2 is offering a $170,000 prize pool, while AoE 4 features only $40,000. Open qualifiers are starting in January of 26, and all matches are going to be streamed live on Red Bull Gaming's official channel.
Yeah, and I guess I could take the GeoGuessr piece of news. GeoGuessr expands esports footprint as PGL enters the scene, and 2026 roadmap has been unveiled. GeoGuessr's esports momentum is accelerating as the game outlines its 2026 global circuit, while major tournament organizer PGL steps into the discipline for the first time. The upcoming GeoGuessr season runs from January to September and concludes with the World Championship at Berlin's Tempodrom. Sorry if I messed up that pronunciation. The revamped World League system introduces regional divisions using a Swiss format, with the top players advancing to the season-ending finals. PGL's entry begins with the XMARK Media Cup on December 20th and 21st, using a double elimination bracket and best-of-3 matches, leading to a best-of-5 grand final. Standard settings and multiple game modes will be featured, with broadcasts on PGL's channels and player POV streams. The event is backed by title partner 1xBet, adding another commercial pillar to the growing scene. GeoGuessr's competitive ecosystem continues to gain ground following record-breaking 2025 viewership, rising prize pools, and partnership with brands such as Opera GX and esports charts.
Dang, I actually had no idea that GeoGuessr was an esport, but hey, here we are.
People are crazy about GeoGuessr.
It's pretty cool, honestly.
Like, people with full memorization of every image and like location of where they have recorded imaging. It's crazy.
It's cool.
All right, bet. Well, I'm going to start training then. You'll see me on the big stage in 2026.
I love to see it. Let's go.
Okay. We talked about it at the top of the show, but it is December now. We're getting towards the end of the year. And of course, things like Spotify Wrapped are coming out. YouTube's got one now. And now Discord actually has a version of Spotify Wrapped. They're calling Discord Checkpoint. So this is kind of a new thing that they're releasing, but they give you all kinds of stats, how many messages you sent, how many hours you spend in voice calls, but tallying up a lot of data about games being played on Discord and communities. So they did reveal some stats behind that. They said that League of Legends has been the most popular game of 2025 on Discord, followed by breakout hit Rematch, the soccer game, and indie title Repo as well. So they highlighted some of the top Discord communities across the board, being Marvel Rivals, which awesome to see, Minecraft, and Genshin Impact as well. And like we said, there's also personal recaps available. If you go on your Discord client now, in the top right, there's I think it's a little flag icon, but you can click that and kind of see all of your stats and see how badly you need to touch grass like I did. So yeah, it'll tell you everything about voice chat time, who your closest friends are, what games you've been playing. That just came out just a couple days ago, and you're able to check it out up through January 15th. So if you haven't closed out of Discord, like I don't ever, be sure to do that, and then you will see Checkpoint pop up when you reopen it. But yeah, I mean, pretty cool. Kind of nice to see. I spend Discord's almost like my phone at this point, so I spend a lot of time on Discord, admittedly. So fun to see how terminally online I truly am.
A moment of silence for Daya's social life. But yeah, I didn't get that recap personally because apparently I've had the data collection setting in Discord turned off. Yeah. So even if I turned it back on right now, it wouldn't be able to give me a recap for 2025. Might turn it on for 2026. We'll see. It might be kind of funny to realize just how much I use Discord. I mean, and I use it a lot, man. I use it a lot. Maybe not as much as 2020, but I use it a lot. I think...
moment of silence for every caster and esports player who is permanently on. Also, someone who on. And also for someone like me who plays D&D regularly online with friends, I was within the top 2% of voice callers in the entire platform. Apparently, just between me and my best friend, I spent almost the entirety of the month of February from start to finish with him on Discord and voice channels.
Oh my God.
It's rough out here. Discord called me out hard.
Not everything needs a year-end summary. We don't need to be this sad about how much time we spend on Discord.
I just for fun, I actually pulled mine up. So this year I sent 26,000 text messages on Discord, which puts me in the top 2% of message senders.
Damn.
And I spent 1,500 hours in voice calls, which is the top 1.4%. So yeah, when I say I need to do something with my life, I mean it.
I was up. Don't worry. I was at 14,000. I was under the 2%. So I'm right up there with you, man.
I don't even want to know where I am. Maybe I'm gonna keep the collection off so I don't feel so sad about my life next year. No. Anyway, we slice it. We're already off the rails a little bit here. I believe we have one more very small section to go over, just a little bit of a for fun one before we talk a little bit about Riot Games and then fully jump into the DreamHack news. But Roblox, not typically a competitive game, but it is going to be stepping into a competitive sense here with a creator showdown that's going to be happening on December 4th in Los Angeles. 8 major creators split into 4 teams will compete across 4 different Roblox games for a $50K prize pool. The event is positioned as a new way for Roblox to connect with its global community as the platform continues extremely rapid growth, recently surpassing 1 trillion YouTube views and peaking at over 45 million players. The lineup includes games ranging from the Squid Game-inspired Ink Game to Tower of Hell, Rivals, and Blue Lock Rivals, with wildcard titles voted on by fans. Hosted by Evil Cat and Bundan, the tournament will stream across Roblox's YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok channels and can also be viewed in-game through the Block experience. The Creator Showdown marks Roblox's first step towards a potential future in competitive games. I'm not sure how dedicated Roblox is to competition in the future, but at very least this should be a mildly entertaining weekend. Cat?
Cat?
I just heard my cat meow and my door's closed. She can't be in here. Where is my cat?
The cat was trapped in the room the whole time.
I'm not crazy. This is my cat.
That is a cute cat. Very cute cat.
She's very sweet. I love
That
her
cat
very
looks
much.
she
But you
looks like she
actually
is
scared
so
me
done
just
with
now.
you.
Don't do
She
that
does
again,
not
please.
want to be on camera right now. Yeah. Next up is we have some Riot news here. We're going to start with Valorant, however, as Riot Games reveals the 2026 path of Valorant Challengers and also sunsets the Oceania Challengers League. Riot Games has outlined the official qualification route for premier teams aiming to reach Valorant Challengers in 2026 through its Path to Champions program. This season will feature 14 Challenger leagues across 14 Challenger Leagues across Pacific, Americas, and EMEA regions, with Oceania's Challengers League removed due to low participation and viewership. Teams in the Pacific region will advance from sub-zone game pods to regional leagues, while the Americas will use 5 zones feeding into 4 Challengers Leagues. EMEA teams will compete across 8 game pods, progressing 2 leagues in DACH, Northeast Europe, Spain, France, Turkey, and MENA. Despite Oceania's closure, players can still reach Stage 2 playoffs via the Pacific Last Chance qualifier, keeping a pathway to Champions 2026 open. Details for China's region will be shared later. And I actually did a little bit of research into this on my own time, and I wrote this out because I needed to understand the path to anything pro in Oceania now. And I don't know how familiar you are with this, you two, but there is a stereotype with Valorant where it's you play a qualifier to qualify for a qualifier that qualifies you into another qualifier that qualifies you into another one until eventually you get into a tournament. They are living up to that stereotype now because the official pathway, mind you, from casual to professional will be through the in-game premier system, where top teams will move into a regional qualifier, and the winner of that regional qualifier will then earn a spot in a last chance qualifier to compete for one of 4 spots in the VCT Stage 2 playoffs, which is a qualifier to get the champions. So you have to go through 3 different qualifiers while also having to play in Premier itself, which is required to qualify to get into those qualifiers. They're living up to the stereotype.
It's a lot of Valorant.
It's a lot of Valorant. It's a lot of qualifying. It's a lot of not playing for an actual trophy, but it's still going to be fun. That region is very fun to watch, I must say. We're back. And to kind of not round out fully the Riot news, but we are going to jump over to League of Legends as Sentinels, the newest LCS team that pick up the spot from 100 Thieves. They have announced their inaugural roster for next year's LCS season. It is going to be some well-known veteran names like Huhi and Impact, while also bringing in some young cracked players, their words, not mine, of Hambach, Dark Wings, and Rahel. I do know that while people are really excited for this roster, there's a lot of people who are saying this is more of a South Korean roster than a North American. Because 4 of the 5 are South Korean native. They were born in South Korea. But I believe 2 of those 4 have citizenship in the United States, which means that they do count as North American. So it is a perfectly qualifiable team, but there are some people saying that's not a North American team. What are we doing? And
Impact's
to kind
been
of
around
round
for
it,
respect.
You're right. You're right.
Impact has been around.
He's insanely. Was he a Worlds winner?
I
I
don't
thought he was a champion. I don't know if he won.
Was
Worlds,
he
though.
was he on that DRX roster
No,
that
I
won
don't
in
think so.
2022?
Not sure.
No.
No,
He was
okay.
not.
I know he's a
I'm getting that mixed up.
multi-championship winning. I just don't know if it's Worlds. He almost certainly.
Oh, he won with T1. He won with T1 in
Feels like news I
2013.
should have known. Okay, I feel like I should have known that one. So yeah, Worlds winner, multiple time champions, especially with Huhi, who is a well-known and has won many LCS title with 100 Thieves a couple of years ago. So very good roster, a lot of young guns. People are excited. And to kind of close out the league section, we talked about Gumayushi leaving T1 a couple weeks ago after winning Worlds and being the Grand Finals MVP. Kind of a crazy story. T1 very quickly did find a replacement. They picked up Pays, who's actually a pretty close friend of Keria. So people are saying it might be a little bit of a downgrade, but even though Keria and Gumayushi had a really good connection in the bot lane, this is probably one of the best pickups they could have gotten to keep that bot lane really, really strong. And Pays is still an incredibly good player. So that is probably the biggest news. LCK, LCS, they're all going through a lot of roster drama. You could probably check out a short or two in the near future of us talking about that. But that's the big overarching pieces of news from the Riot sphere this week or the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and going back to Pays for just a minute here, I think that Pays is probably the best option T1 had for a bot laner after losing out on Gumayusi. Because, I mean, we brought it up in the episode episode 4, I believe, when we were talking about T1 actually winning Worlds. But Guma was putting up a generational performance in that grand final as an ADC, and losing out on him hurts a lot. But frankly, if you look at the rest of the year that happened in the LCK, Pays was, I would argue, the best ADC in the LCK, maybe the world. I mean, Gen G wins MSI. I believe they won both splits of the LCK. They won Esports World Cup. They were consistently the best team in League all year long until Worlds, when they lost to KT in semifinals. Like, Pays was, I think, the best option T1 could have had, almost certainly.
So, as we're getting to the end of the esports season, lots of games, world championships are happening, grand finals, everything kind of wrapping up, and a lot of things wrapped up at DreamHack Stockholm. So we'll cover a little bit of the major tournaments that happened there. I guess I'll start with the finals, of course. So the finals, really diving into esports for the first time this year, but they just held their grand major, which is their world championship, their grand finals at DreamHack Stockholm. And I did watch quite a bit of it, and it's a pretty good time. Very interesting format for this game. So a lot of the matches are actually 4 teams of 3 on the same map fighting against each other. Then the top 2 teams go on a one-on-one, and it's very interesting. It's a lot different than a lot of other esports that I've watched. So definitely made for some interesting stuff. And it is a very fast-paced, very hectic game. I finally got to sit down and put some hours into it, and it can be tough to keep up with, but very exciting. So NA kind of emerged as the dominant region at the Grand Major. A lot of the NA teams having a lot of success. Both Nightmare and Space Station Gaming making it all the way to literally the finals in a 4-team matchup between Nightmare, Team Secret, Space Station, and Fnatic. So NA versus EU on a whole other level I've never seen in another esport before. But it was Nightmare that would cash out at the end of the day there. Very impressive showing from that team, from all teams really, considering how short of a tenure that the finals has had in esports. But I'm a big Fnatic guy. I would love to see them go a little further. Just couldn't find the performance in the final round. But Nightmare, they really wanted the money for sure. 16 teams competed in this thing. Pretty big org names. We had some Gen G, Envy was there as well. TSM was involved, the Kansas City Pioneers. I mean, lots of big names already in the esport, which is great to see for them. And then at the end of the tournament, very quickly, but they did confirm that there will be a Grand Major 2026. So it does seem like, at least for now, it's going to be full steam ahead for the finals esports going into next year. But yeah, I mean, it was a really entertaining spectator game for sure. I don't know a ton about the game at that level for sure, but fun to watch when you've got a little bit of background. So yeah, I mean, great looks for them. They had a really amped up crowd. A lot of their players are very charismatic on the mic. Actually, I was very shocked. Esports interviews sometimes can be a little awkward, and these guys have no media training, but a lot of them spoke very well, made it pretty interesting, pretty entertaining. So yeah, fun tournament to watch. But obviously the finals not the only thing at DreamHack Stockholm, of course, and I think Genster got a lot to say about it. But OWCS fully in action there, and I did watch a little bit of it, not as much as I'd like to, but yeah, definitely you're the one to speak on it more than I am.
Oh yes. So as mentioned previously, I was there. I was there in person for OWCS. It was a great time. I had a lot of fun watching the matches in person, which I had never had the chance to do in Overwatch before. I got a couple things that I wanted to show the class. This here is a card signed by 5 players from T1's Overwatch roster. This is it is Vigilante, Jasmine, Proud, Viper, Donghack, and then the game director Aaron Keller, and one of the narrative directors who worked on the new hero. So I got signatures from my favorite team. which was very cool. I was very happy with that, and I just dropped the other thing I was going to show you guys real quick. But they gave out signs for all of us to write for the crowd, for the broadcast camera and such. And on my sign, I decided I would write a little memorial thing for one of my favorite players in the game, Alarm, who was a flex support player who played for the Philadelphia Fusion, but passed away unexpectedly right before Overwatch 2 came out. One of the best to ever touch the game, straight up. And one of the biggest what ifs, because, I mean, this kid was crazy at the game. He came into the scene first year, was like a easy Rookie of the Year candidate and Rookie of the Year pick. He won that award. After his passing, they named the Rookie of the Year award after him. So he was obviously one of the best to ever touch the game. In my opinion, he should have won MVP the season he debuted as well, but probably it just didn't end up happening. And this thing is being very annoying and not going back into the box that I wanted to put it away in. So I'm just going to put it on the floor for now. The other thing that I wanted to show y'all before I get into the actual results of the tournament is I have had this flag for a very long time now, and I'm going to back up a little bit here and just show you. I'm going to unfold it. So my favorite team in the Overwatch League days was the Philadelphia Fusion. And I have had this giant Philadelphia Fusion flag for a long time. And I took it out of the packaging for the first time for this weekend. And I can't really get a good angle on it because of how small this area is. But I went there with the mission in mind of getting as many former Fusion players to sign the flag as possible. And I got 3. I got Zest, Astro, and that is Shockwave. So that was fun. I miss my team a lot, and it meant a lot to even be able to find a couple of the guys who used to play under that banner. And that was great. It made me very happy to be able to find them and talk to them a little bit about playing for that team. And having been such a huge fan of the team, it was awesome. But that's enough about the sentimentality of it. There was a tournament happening there, obviously. So let's talk a little bit about that. Obviously, the team who ended up taking it all away was Twisted Minds. Huge congrats to them. Even if, I mean, we all know this. I hate the org. I hate them a lot. But the players on Twisted Minds absolutely deserve to be celebrated in this instance. Particularly, there's 2 I want to highlight. The first is their hit scan player, Quartz, who won tournament MVP, deservingly so. We have not seen a hit scan DPS player put up that kind of performance since like ONS in 2020. Unbelievable stuff. It felt like he could not miss for the entirety of the tournament, and it was absolutely a crucial and instrumental part of Twisted Mind's victory. The other player on TM who I really wanted to highlight is the player I just mentioned who signed my flag, actually, Funny Astro. He is their main support player. He's been around for a very long time. He actually was signed to a team in the first season of the Overwatch League, but didn't end up playing for them. I think he ended up playing... I think his debut year in Overwatch League was Season 3 when he started with the Fusion, but I could be wrong. But he was like the linchpin of the team. Obviously, Quartz was the highlight, the flashy player who wins MVP, but without Funny Astro being that rock in the backline, there's no way they go that far. He is, in my eyes, the best main support in the world right now, and it makes me so happy that one of my Fusion players finally got to lift a trophy after all this time. Because they were always known for coming in second place, and second place, and second place, and second place. And he finally breaks the curse. And that made me happy. I was very, very delighted to see that. The other teams I wanted to highlight, there were a couple. Second place was Alcazia, another team from the EU region. This was, by the way, the first time in a very long time, I believe, in Overwatch Esports history, that a no all-Korean team made the grand final of a major. And we'll talk a little bit about why that was in a moment here, but suffice to say for now, Europe kind of pioneered their own meta this time. And I mean, Alcazia and Twisted just came out and annihilated everybody using the symmetric compositions. And Alcadzia in particular, they looked really scary throughout the entire event. Labda, their hit scan looked amazing. Their support line was great. The only American in grand finals was their flex support, Landon. Big ups to Landon. He played stellar. I would argue he was the best player for Alcadzia throughout the event. Huge shout outs to that squad. Just barely falling short at the final hurdle. The other teams I wanted to talk about, there were 3 others. The first is Crazy Raccoon. In my eyes, the favorite going into this tournament. The #1 seed out of Korea. The best dive team in the entire world. They end up getting 3rd place overall. And I mean, they play very well in the matches where they won. Unfortunately, they did get eliminated by I think they lost 3-1 both to Alcadzia and to Twisted Minds. First in winners and then in losers. And I mean, again, it was just one of those situations where the EU meta that nobody else thought was going to be meta kind of caught CR and a lot of the other powerhouse teams off guard. But outside of those matches, CR looked unbelievable off the back of both of their tank players, Max and Junbin, who were stellar throughout the event, just straight up. The other Korean team I wanted to mention was T1, obviously my team. My guys, huge fan of T1, if you couldn't tell from the fact that I brought home a signed card. They looked really good throughout the event, but this is the first of 2 teams that I'm going to bring up that I want to present a what-if scenario. Because in winners round 2 of this bracket, Twisted Minds, the eventual champions, would face off against T1. T1 would win the first 2 maps, but get reverse swept, losing the next 3 to lose the series. And in my head, I have to wonder, if T1 manages to win any of those last 3 maps, what happens? Where do we see this tournament go? Because frankly, if T1 wins that match, I think they could have had a run to the grand final. Obviously not the reality we're living in, but it's always going to be a question like that. And the other big what if team that I have to bring up is VALORANT, surprisingly enough, the lone representative of the Japan region who had to take out a fellow Japanese squad and a squad from OCE in order to even make it to Stockholm. They, in round 1 of the bracket, were matched up against Team Falcons, who I've brought up previously in other episodes as, like, one of the best teams in Overwatch. And they were expected to get swept aside immediately. They won the second map, and it wasn't close. And the third map was this close. Like, we're talking down to the actual wire. Map 3 really and truly could have gone VALORANT's way, and that's the other big what-if scenario in this tournament here, because eventually VALORANT, in their losers round 1, they did end up bombing out, and that was unfortunate. But what if, man? What if they'd managed to take one of the tournament favorites out of winner's bracket immediately? It would have been crazy. But the last thing I wanted to mention about this tournament is the fact that I'm seeing a lot of people talking about this new narrative about how the gap has closed between Korea and the rest of the world. Because, obviously Korea, they don't even make the grand finals this time around. It's all EU. They are they were leaps and bounds above everybody else at this competition. And on the one hand, I get that narrative, but on the other hand, you're wrong. The gap has not closed. The gap will reopen as soon as Symmetra is no longer a relevant character, because she will almost certainly be catching nerfs after this performance. And I don't want to sound like an asshole, right? I genuinely think that they did a great job of coming in and realizing, wow, this Symmetra character is extremely good. Let's abuse her and run wild at this tournament. They played very well around the resources that they had. But I'm seeing a lot of people in the community say that the gap has closed between Korea and other top regions in the game, specifically Europe and Middle East. I don't think that's the case. I think that as soon as we see a patch roll through and Symmetra gets a little bit weaker, Korea will be back on top because, frankly, Symmetra's kind of a gimmick. I don't want to sound like a dick, but Symmetra's kind of a gimmick. Let's be so honest with ourselves here. It kind of enables a lot of what EU likes to do anyway, so big ups to Twisted Minds and Alcadzia for playing as well as they did at this tournament. I don't expect them to run it back the same way next year, unfortunately.
As much as I normally like hate on metas that are really not good for a scene, at the end of the day, when it comes to a tournament, you play the hand you get. If the hand you get ends up playing towards your specialty, even if it's a little bit of a cheesy meta, if it's not quite for the scene, the end of the day, it's what happens. It's what happens.
If you win, you win.
Yeah, a W is a W. You take it anywhere you can get it. Unfortunately, sometimes it's just not in the best means. As long as everything's above board, that sounds a lot like a game dev problem rather than a team problem. But to kind of wrap up DreamHack in a nice little bow, there were some other events that happened. I know Brawl Stars had their big tournament as well, and there was a few other smaller events that were happening. So it's not a full bow on everything, but for all the major esports that went down, ESL Impact Season 8 did come to a conclusion at DreamHack Stockholm. I did not really get the opportunity to watch it. I saw a couple games of it. Very frankly, I wanted to check this out because I didn't know how to properly pronounce the name of the winner, and I wanted to do my due diligence, and it actually looked like it was a really fun event. The production was really good. The games seemed really entertaining. So if you're a fan of CS, you should go check it out. It seems like it was a great event. But CS to ESL Impact Season 8 was won by Big Equipa. Pardon me if I mispronounce that. It is the Berlin International Gaming organization. They beat MIBR Female to win the tournament. It was a $123,000 prize pool. They won the lion's share of $50,000, and it looked like it was an amazing event. Big Equipa and MIBR Female, neither one of them were even the favorites coming out of the groups. Neither one were the 1 seed. They upset the likes of Sakura Esports as well as NIP Impact to get themselves there. So it seems like it was a great event. Again, I did not personally get to watch it. I'm not the biggest CS2 head, but from what I saw, it looked really entertaining. So if I think it's entertaining, I'm sure if you are a CS2 head, you should go check it out. But yeah, that BIG Equipa coming up with a big win to close out Stockholm. To wrap up all the Riot news, the Game Changers Grand Finals World Championship did take place in the final days of November. The winners of that event were Team Liquid Brazil. I don't know if it's quite an upset because they are still an amazing team, but Shopify Rebellion, having made the Grand Finals yet again, were on the road to a three-peat, winning the last 2 World Championships. They were very clearly the favorite, even if a lot of people still believe that Team Liquid had a really good chance. Team Liquid snubbed them from that three-peat, put up an incredible performance and an amazing 5-game series to get the gold. And I know, Ged, you wanted to talk about a map or two in particular that you really thought was interesting and some storylines there.
Yes, absolutely. There are a lot of individual maps from this tournament that I thought were extremely interesting. My favorite from the grand final was Pearl in the whoa, that was weird. My favorite in grand finals was Pearl. TL Brazil taking that one 13-11. A very back and forth affair. But my favorite map in the whole tournament, and maybe one of the best maps of Valorant of the entire competitive year, was down in losers round 3 between G2 and MIBR. Go watch Split. Unbelievable map. G2 goes up 10-2 on their attacking half. No, their defending half, excuse me. MIBR brings it all the way back to bring it to 12-12 and then ends up winning it 12-14 in overtime. Unreal stuff coming out from MIBR in the second half of the map. And I mean, frankly, it's one of those maps that you watch and you're like, this shouldn't be happening. This should never happen in any reality.
Yeah.
And yet here we are. It was a special map. Absolutely go check that one out if you're a fan of good Valorant. If you're a fan of good esports, just go watch that map. It was excellent stuff.
All right, so just a quick few more headlines for you to wrap up this episode. First of all, Blast, the popular esports tournament organizer known mostly for CS2 and Rainbow Six tournaments, have reported $102 million in economic impact for the Blast Austin Major 2025. Kind of a little bit of that, and yeah, pretty big crowd, pretty nice attendance. So awesome to see esports bringing in some economic impact to the areas they're running tournaments in.
Yeah, you do love to see it. Speaking of things you love to see, T1 is expanding its entertainment footprint with a new multi-concept PC cafe in Busan, featuring advanced gaming zones, a merchandise shop, lounges, and dedicated spaces for amateur tournaments and player development as the organization builds a nationwide esports hub network. Definitely something I would love to go check out. I have never been able to make it over to South Korea, but I want to at some point in the next few years. And I mean, this definitely sounds like something I would personally be very interested in checking out. So, very exciting stuff.
As someone who has been to South Korea, PC bongs are insanely fun, especially if you are a gamer. So I can only imagine what this one's going to be like. The amount of amenities and different stuff there just sounds amazing. Also, fun facts. I did do a little bit of research about some things. The Blast event that you mentioned, Diatonic, for reference of how crazy of a piece of news that is, because it's not on the script. Last year, when they hosted an event, it was a revenue stream of like 30 million. It like over tripled over the course of the last year between the events. Yeah, insane numbers.
That's absurd. It's crazy.
And to kind of wrap it all up, final miscellaneous headline: Hyundai Auto Ever brought 650 employees together for an internal esports event featuring League of Legends and StarCraft 2 using Why am I not able to talk right now? Using gaming-driven competition and live broadcast finals to strengthen communication, collaboration, and corporate culture. That should not have been that difficult for me to have said.
Hey, we got through it. You got through it. It's all good. It's all good.
We got through.
Yeah, hey, I mean, got through that, got through one more loading screen here, so plenty of esports action. Even as we're going into off season, there's still plenty of stuff happening. So, of course, we will be here to bring you all that. But Soren, Gedster, anything to wrap up before we get out of here?
I am excited. I mentioned at the start that a lot of esports, again, we've mentioned before, but a lot of the major events are past us now. They are in the rearview mirror. The World Championships for 2026 are done and over with, but we are now looking forward to the future. I knew the Call of Duty League season just started a couple days ago as of recording. I just saw LA Thieves won. Let's go, Thieves! And they beat FaZe on top. But yeah, we're looking forward to next year, so I'm really excited to see all the announcements of what the roadmaps are going to be, what games are going to be on the top of the hill. We're still waiting on a couple of announcements from people. Marvel Rivals, Netties, please.
Please.
But I'm excited. The news for the next month is going to be very exciting for everything. Looking forward to 2026.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty sweet. I was genuinely about to bring up the Call of Duty League because I completely forgot about bringing it up in the miscellaneous section. But yeah, opening day was yesterday. Optic beat Falcons. Pack watch.
Crazy.
Roll them up. Smoke them. and I believe the second day of matches is literally about to start as we're having this conversation. Maybe it's starting right now. Actually, hold. I need to verify. It's literally happening right now. It's literally happening right now. Miami Heretics currently have 51 points on hardpoint, but Toronto Koi have 186. So yeah, that is where we're at. But yeah, I got nothing else to say. We got a lot of Overwatch announcements in the near future. I didn't even bring up. There's a lot I didn't bring up. Editor, cut this part out. There's a lot I didn't bring up in the Overwatch section that we should probably go back and re-record. But yeah. Now you can start taking what I say into account again. Yeah, that's gonna be it for us. So back to you, Daya.
Yeah, I mean, no, we're past a lot of the major events. A lot of the esports scene is going to be handed back to the community now for community tournaments and third-party stuff. So, of course, plenty to watch, plenty to keep up with out there. But yeah, this is the time that we're starting to grow the next year of esports, right? Some of the rising stars are going to have some opportunities in the off season. We'll see plenty of new faces coming into all of the esports titles for next year. But for now, that is all from us here at the Loading Screen. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to subscribe for more episodes of the Loading Screen and more esports news in the future. But for now, we will see you on the next Loading Screen.